In May 2004, a team of Eastern European gizmo geeks scammed £1 million in the UK. They used a hidden device to predict where the roulette ball was going to land.
One of the things with new technology of whatever kind is that it's going to be used to cheat, and always the cheats are going to be one step ahead.
Posing as high rollers, the gang went straight for the most prestigious casino in London.
I mean, really the whole thing was like out of a James Bond film or something like that. You've got these Eastern Europeans, a woman from Hungary, 2 Serbs, and they decide, you know, where are we going to hit next? And they decided London, and they came to perhaps one of the most famous places in London, the Ritz.
Most of the people that come into casinos, 99.9% of them are absolutely honest. They're coming in for a good night out. But as with any other business, we suffer theft. And with casinos, it's much more of a determined kind of theft. You know, it's very difficult for the average person just to come in and steal from a casino.
But what happened to the Ritz was far from average.
Well, the first night was really a recce and get things set up, and okay, no bad thing if you make some money. They made 100 grand the first night. They came back the second night and they make, some people are saying, 1.2 million. This is a significant amount of money.
The second big win set alarm bells ringing for the casino's security staff. Casinos regard roulette as the one game that cannot be beaten. So what the Eastern Europeans were doing seemed impossible.
Roulette was actually invented by a French monk in the 13th century who, having invented the game, he then tried to beat it and, of course, was unable to do so. And apparently he drove himself mad and eventually committed suicide. So perhaps that's an indication that there is no way of beating the game.
Essentially, it's trying to prove Einstein wrong, who said that the only way to win at roulette was to steal the money from the croupier.
But there is one technique that might make the impossible possible. It's called clocking.
Once you start to hear someone's clocking a roulette wheel, you have to understand, first of all, that the roulette wheel itself looks very simple, but it's a very sophisticated random number generator. The wheel is rotating in one direction. The ball is going around the other way. There are hazards in the wheel that make the ball bounce as it drops. So predicting where that ball is going to drop is not at all easy. It's a very complicated thing.
The theory behind clocking is simple: the laws of physics. By measuring the speed of the roulette wheel and the ball, it's possible to work out which number the ball will land on.
They try to use predictive devices to look at a wheel, to calculate the spin speed of the wheel, to calculate the spin speed of the ball, to make a very complicated physical analysis of where the ball is likely to drop.
The scammers had invented an electronic device to help them.
What these people were doing was something which in theory was very simple, but in actual practice took really advanced technology. And what they were doing was predict the outcome of the wheel.
Casino security believed the device the scammers were using may have been hidden in a mobile phone.
Probably there will have been one person with a device which was to measure the speed of the ball, say. And maybe you've got the second person doing the same thing with the rotor within the wheel, taking these measurements, which then compute it, and the feedback from that goes to the third person, and there might have been an earpiece who places the bet, and the rest of the time can be acting perfectly nonchalantly.
As the winnings increased, so did the attention of the Ritz security team.
Technically, it was flawless. I mean, they had everything mapped up, but what seemed to let them down was just the human side. They turned down offers of, you know, free food and perks like this from the Ritz, which got the Ritz suspicious. And also, they probably took too much. And it was just one of these classic instances where it would have been perfect. They wouldn't have got caught, except for the psychology, you know, the human element they messed up on.
The casino did some background checks on the high rollers and uncovered a long history of scamming.
They were on the radar screen, and it seems that they'd been travelling around, certainly Europe. They'd turned up in Budapest carrying out this scam. And it was at that point that the security guys got in touch with the police.
Believing they had firm evidence that they were scamming, the police arrested the greedy gang.
When the police raided their hotel, they found a lot of cash, over $1 million apparently. They also found various technological devices, mobile phones, Palm Pilot. The problem for the police, though, was demonstrating what these were for. You can have it dedicated for a different purpose, but then have a hard reset button, so that if you just press a key, it's wiped. The problem is that the gaming law that was operating there was drawn up in 1845, so a little while before mobile phones. Basically, under the law, you had to physically interfere with a game.
Time has moved on, and there are now many other ways in which people can cheat, which unfortunately are not covered because they don't involve any physical interference in the game. They're not actually touching the game at all or doing anything which can immediately be spotted.
The fact that they weren't actually interfering with the game meant that there was very little, in fact nothing, the police could do.
With no clear evidence, the Eastern European scammers were allowed to walk away with all their winnings. Although they helped speed up a new gambling law that forbids the use of modern technology, the Eastern Europeans successfully used their mobile phone device to cheat the Ritz out of at least £1 million.